Who was the weirdest kid at your school? Brady believed with his entire soul that he was a werewolf, and I'm not talking about roleplay. This kid was fully convinced that when the moon hit a certain point in the sky, he would transform into an actual wolf creature. Towards the end of junior year, he stood up during lunch and announced, "The full moon is coming in 3 weeks, and I will choose someone to turn and join my pack." I figured being nice to him was the smartest move I could make, because if I was his friend, maybe I wouldn't end up being the one he chose. So I started nodding at him in the halls instead of pretending he didn't exist like everyone else did. Then he started sitting with me at lunch, and honestly, he acted pretty normal, except for when he refused to use utensils because he said wolves don't use forks. When I asked him why he didn't just pack meat for lunch since he was a wolf, Brady said, "My mom won't let me eat raw chicken anymore after I got sick." Then he leaned in closer and said, "I still eat secret raw chicken to get ready for the full moon though." I nodded and tried to look supportive. Later that week, he got detention for howling during a history test and missed his bus home. I found him standing in the parking lot looking lost, so I offered him a ride. We talked about video games for most of the drive, and everything seemed normal until we got close to his house. He grabbed the door handle and said, "I can feel it starting." "Feel what?" He looked at me with completely serious eyes. "The change. I need to get inside before I turn." The second I put the car in park, he threw open the door and bolted. I watched this 17-year-old kid drop to all fours in his driveway and sprint toward his house like an animal, howling and barking at the top of his lungs. I just sat there in disbelief. His front door swung open and his mom stood there looking exhausted. "Get inside before the neighbors call again," she said in this tired voice that suggested this happened all the time. Brady crawled past her on his hands and knees, and she gave me this tired wave before closing the door. After that, the rides home became a regular thing because I was too nice to say no. Every single time we got within a block of his house, he would start breathing heavy and scratching at my window. One afternoon, he was muttering, "The moon is singing to my blood," over and over. I said, "Brady, it's 3 in the afternoon, the moon isn't even out," and he shook his head violently, muttering, "It's always there, waiting for me to turn someone and become complete." Another time, he started panting with his tongue actually hanging out of his mouth and said, "My senses are getting sharper. I can smell fear now. I'll know who to choose when the time comes." I gripped the steering wheel tighter and said, "That's great, buddy," because I genuinely did not know how to respond. As the full moon got closer, Brady got more and more intense about the whole thing. I've been watching people, trying to decide who would make the best addition to the pack. I kept my voice steady. "Oh yeah, got anyone in mind?" He just smiled and said, "I'm still deciding." It finally happened during English class on the day of the full moon. Brady was sitting 2 rows up from me when he suddenly stood up from his desk and threw his book onto the floor. Mrs. Grindstaff looked up and said, "Brady, sit down." But before the words were fully out of her mouth, he threw his head back and howled. Brady dropped to his hands and knees and started crawling around, making these deep snarling noises and snapping his teeth at people's legs. A girl near the window screamed and yanked her feet up onto her chair. Mrs. Grindstaff was frantically pressing the call button for the office and saying into the intercom, "I need security immediately. We have a situation." Brady crawled past 3 more desks while people pressed themselves back in their chairs. When he got to me, he looked up with glazed over eyes and grabbed my pant leg with both hands. He said in this growling voice, "The beast cannot be contained anymore. You will be the first I turn. Tonight under the full moon, you'll join my pack." I stammered out, "Brady, please man, you need to stop." But he started trying to drag me from my seat. "You were always meant to be mine. The moon told me you were the one." The door burst open and 2 security guards rushed in. They had to physically carry him out of the classroom while he kicked and howled at them the whole way down the hall.